Beyond, what's up, everybody? It's me, Brian Altano, with Andrew Goldfarb and
Beyond.
Zach Ryan,
Beyond.
bright and early in Germany. Let's talk PlayStation at Gamescom.
Why not?
Let's do it.
How are you guys doing?
Good? Feeling good?
I'm
Day
very
two?
tired.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll power through it and talk about some of our favorite games of the show. I want to start with a little one, finally coming to PlayStation after a year of waiting, Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Getting close.
Indeed.
Yeah. You got to check out a kind of extended preview of this game recently.
Yeah, so in tomorrow at Gamescom, I'm going to play the VR mode. But yeah, Marty
tomorrow.
and I. In tomorrow. Very tired. Marty and I went to Crystal Dynamics like a month ago, and we
That's
saw
right.
the new modes. You see here, Blood Ties is kind of the Gone Home style thing where you explore. And then there's a cool Nightmare mode, and there's a co-op survival mode.
Now,
So-
Blood Ties is the one that's coming to PSVR, correct?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'll play tomorrow.
And you say
Excited.
Gone Home style. This is basically her exploring Croft Manor.
Right.
which,
Yes.
If you've played Rise of the Tomb Raider, you'll notice that it's kind of like she's got this Howard Hughes thing going on in there, where there's just without the pee bottles, but it's just
Who's to say?
Yeah, how do you know?
do
who's
we know
to say?
that? Yeah.
But it's just the idea of just going around this mansion that I think was left to her by her rich family. You're not entirely sure, but it's really cool. I think there's a lot of mystery here to uncover. One of the cooler things we saw too was that all of this stuff is going to be packaged into the game all at once. So if you missed this on Xbox One,
Yeah.
first of all, shame on you, but I get it. But here it is now, and you'll get to play it for the first time. And this game was probably, the second runner-up for IGN's Game of the Year last
Yes.
Yeah, it came really
Yeah.
close, yeah.
year? Very close. What ended up winning?
The Witcher.
Witcher.
The Witcher.
Yep.
So it
I
was,
feel like you should know that.
Yeah,
I should know
I do,
that,
I
To
do
be
too.
honest, yeah.
What's IGN? It's my first time coming here. No, I remember it was The Witcher, Bloodborne, and Rise of the Tomb Raider. And this was just such a phenomenal game. And I think the weird thing about it was that we all played it in a pre-Uncharted 4 world.
Yes. Yeah.
And now we're going to go back and play it after Uncharted 4, the darling PlayStation exclusive action-adventure swashbuckling game about a guy who climbs things.
Wow, there are all kinds of adjectives there.
Yeah, right? I went nuts on that one.
I think the most telling thing about Tomb Raider for me, Rise of the Tomb Raider, is that I don't have a ton of time to replay games these days. And I played through Rise of the Tomb Raider on Xbox One, and I can't wait to play it again on PS4.
Yeah.
Especially with all the DLC, because I took an Xbox home and beat it over a weekend. And so it'll be exciting to go through and play all this new stuff, the new content that I hadn't gotten a chance to play.
It's cool to see that there's another wine cellar scene in the game, just
Yeah.
like Uncharted 4.
That's right.
The comparisons are going to be flying very soon, and even down to the what was it? That hook. That goes
Yeah,
ice
the
pick
grappling hook,
thing.
yeah.
the ice
yeah,
pick.
yeah, yeah.
Is there a name for that? No one actually knows.
It's
There's
the
probably a
technical
name.
term is ice pick thingy.
the ice
Yeah.
pickers.
That's right.
sounds right.
The Pickers Club. Another thing I really liked was Watch Dogs 2. We had them on our show yesterday. You should go back and watch that segment. It's awesome. You should watch Dogs that segment. Takes place in San Francisco. It's all about hacking. Not that great of a joke.
Not a good joke.
But one of the things that really interested me about this game is I liked the online stuff in the original game, but I'm also like more of a single player guy.
Sure.
So I like the ability to sort of like pick and choose what I want to interact with. And playing the first game, it was kind of like Journey, where you'd be going for a couple hours and all of a sudden a guy would show up and he'd be like, "Hey, it's me, a hacker.
He's
I'll make your
hacking
life
you."
difficult." Ooh, they just hurt Max Scoville there. So what the cool thing about this one
Hey,
is it
what's
has
online coop?
Coop. Yeah, that's a new word they're
Oh, it's
trying
hanging
here.
with Mr. Coop. It's, it's
Yep,
a new mode.
online Coop.
They did announce a new mode, though. They announced that Bounty Hunter mode.
That's
it
right.
seems really cool.
Yes.
So I asked them about that yesterday. There's a bounty hunter mode, and there's also a robot sidekick, which is kind of like a droid. And I was like, "Are you making a Star Wars game and not
Yeah.
telling us?" And they said, "No, we're not.
No,
'Cause
we
that
are
would be
not."
illegal." So you can scale the amount of multiplayer that you want in this game, and I'm really excited about that because some days I might want none.
I think it's
Yeah.
a super cool idea to team up with a few of your buds and try to attack these missions from 3 different angles.
Yep.
Like if the 3 of us were playing Watch Dogs, one of us could hack and the other 2 could infiltrate from either side. And I think that that's brilliant. Like I would love to play that mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
It takes place in San Francisco, which is a city we all live in.
That's
Not
true.
all of you watching or listening. That'd be weird.
The whole world is
But,
San Francisco, if you
I
think
was,
about it.
I was promised that there's. No, I don't think so. I was promised there'd be a lot of famous San Francisco landmarks, such as.
I mean, it looks like it. There's
Yep.
that burrito spot that I like to
Yeah.
go to.
There's the
And
place where everyone.
There's that
poops.
Lamborghini you drive.
Yeah.
That one street where it always just smells like poop. I'm really excited for this game. The
Me too.
idea of it being a kind of a more fun approach to the sort of washed out hacking world of the first one. I didn't like the
Yeah.
original protagonist. I think they're just having fun with him.
I think I made it about halfway through the first Watch Dogs because it did feel pretty dry.
Yeah.
And this one has me way more excited for this franchise. I think that we talked about it a lot on Beyond previously, that The first one was sort of a proof of concept, and the second one I think is where they're really going to nail it. And
Yeah.
the more I see of this game, the more excited I get.
It's also San Francisco and the Bay Area in general, Silicon Valley is so ripe.
Yeah, I wonder if,
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll be able to play through this game much faster because we're so familiar.
because we
with
know
the
our way
area.
around.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
If
truncated version of the city, but I'm down to go to war with every tech douche in that entire place.
Oh,
'cause
it is someone from Poughkeepsie's just lost.
Brian insists. Brian insists on doing swears on the live show, even though I
Tech
keep
douche?
telling him not to do swears.
That's not
You
a
gotta
du-
get to the next game. Alex is gonna get mad at
Okay,
us.
it's not a swear. Tech douche is not. Anyway, let's talk about Batman VR.
Yes, yeah, I finally played it. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's here at the show at Gamescom. It's a PSVR demo where you play as popular hero Batman.
It sounds like your favorite game of the show is Jet Lag.
Yeah, that's probably true.
By Andrew Goffar, 85. You could be the Batman and you wear the helmet, and I really like it.
I mean,
they gave us pretzels on the plane.
you joke, but it's like you can be the Batman. It's a
Yes.
first-person Batman experience, and like there's something really cool about
They
that.
became the Batman.
There's this awesome moment where you put the cowl
Batman.
on early
Yep.
on, and you're looking around and you
Batman.
realize that you can do all this stuff. You can grapple to that area. You
That's
can
Batman.
scan something, and I think it's hate you so much. I think it's a really cool
That
way
guy's Batman.
to explore that world because it's within the Arkham world, and it's yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I'm excited to see
how
what
does-
the full game is.
How does movement work in this? Because that's the one thing that's sort of
So
like tripping me out.
you haven't had a chance to play it
Not yet.
Movement works similarly to a lot of VR games in that it's like point and click. You point to
Teleport.
warp around an area.
Okay.
It didn't feel as disorienting in this game as it has in like other VR games. I felt like it. I think it's because you're moving around in a relatively small area in this game. You have basically this one setup that we just saw there. But yeah, I didn't feel like really dizzy or sick warping around the area.
Definitely not.
So-
I think the crime solving element that they have here is very similar to the stuff that we saw in Arkham Origins, but it works so much better here.
So how long did it take to finish the demo? Because I know one of the things we're noticing.
15 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
probably
not
like
bad.
15 minutes.
Because we've heard that VR games in general are going to be shorter.
Yeah, this
one's
whole
actually
thing,
budget priced.
It'll be like 90 minutes, I think, the entire experience.
So
Like
you've
it's not
already
meant
played a
to be
fourth
long.
of the game.
But
Yeah.
it's, I mean, you search around, you're looking at the back cave, you're looking around. Like, it's cool. You can take your time.
The best thing that happened to me while I was playing Arkham VR, there's a moment in the game where you put on the Batsuit and a mirror comes down so that you see yourself as Batman, and you can kind of do this thing where you're looking and you see your face, and then as soon as the mirror came down, I immediately started doing this dance. And so, like, I was having a great time, but Batman is just very seriously in the mirror just going,
VR is the future. We're in a
it's
good
very
place.
silly.
Speaking of silly and speaking of games that actually won't take you 90 minutes, it's Final Fantasy 15.
Yes.
One of the longest games to ever be made.
It's possible, yeah. It's we just got 2 extra months to wait.
Well-
we had a good interview with Tabata-san yesterday.
I thought we
on the
nailed that
stage.
one.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you guys
I
really
thought it
did.
went
That was
Thanks
a
a
great
lot,
interview.
man.
Thanks,
That
man.
was really good.
And then I talked to him one-on-one after that without Brian ruining our cool party. and yeah, he went a little more in depth. I'll have a piece up about that on IGN probably today. But I think they have such a good attitude and they're so candid about
Yeah.
like people have been waiting a long time and they didn't take it lightly having
Yeah.
them wait longer.
I mean, it's no surprise this game is very near and dear to you and I, especially because we were there in April to see the game in development, and we got to know that staff. And it was a bummer to read that it had been delayed, but I loved the fact that he came out and was like, yes, it's delayed,
Yep.
but it's because it needs to be a better game.
Yes,
Like, we
totally.
can put it out now, and we can have a huge day one patch, or you can wait 2 months and the game will be perfect when we ship it.
Yep.
So,
Well, it was sort of like when we heard about Uncharted 4 getting delayed, the third time. We were kind of bummed out about the reasoning because they're like, we want a global launch and we want the discs to be ready. And I was like, just give me the game digitally.
Yeah.
At least with this straight up, they were like, we want to fine tune it. Like, get in there and actually finish it.
Fine tune.
Fine. One of the things I was really surprised about this game is how much they're talking about the word realism. For a game that doesn't really seem like completely realistic, they said that they wanted all the creatures and monsters to be sort of something you would see in National Geographic, and they wanted the food to look like something that you would order at a restaurant.
Right.
That's not really something I'd associate with a game where a bunch of bros in leather jackets go around and fight dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And it
I'm
makes
into
it makes you buy the world, right? Like in a world where you fight monsters, if you get those little details right, where it feels like a fully fleshed out world, then you feel like you're part of it, and it doesn't pull you out when you're like, well, how would that work? Who would eat that slop?
Right.
Also, they've
What
done
is
just a killer job of translating fan favorite Final Fantasy monsters
Yep.
into this world and making them look realistic. Like one of the first things that we saw was the behemoth, and I mean, it just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep, I agree.
Also, it's inspiring for people like me who like to wear leather that you can go out and do anything in a leather jacket now.
I would die if I saw you wearing any of those costumes. It would be you in like a half trench coat. It'd be just a really good look.
Halloween is just around the corner. Also just around the corner is South Park, The Fractured Butthole.
Now,
The Fractured Butthole.
that's my favorite thing. Is like when you're talking about the fractured butthole.
Yeah.
Everyone says it like that.
Why do you say it
Except
like
for
that?
Brian, who says the fractured butthole.
You said butthole.
Well,
You
we
sound
are-
like you have
so
a cool
let's-
Alex Solomita accent.
Let's talk about this butthole. Yesterday we learned that you can shape your turds in this game, and then you can use the shoulder buttons to let out some real mean toots, tweets, and farts from that
Yeah.
good old butt of yours.
I mean, there was a bathroom mechanic
Yes.
in the first game, but they're really just going for it in this one.
And I
This-
really love that.
This, by the way, is one of my favorite parts of the live show yesterday. Is that I don't know if we're going to get to it here, but at one point, walking around this room, you can do all this different stuff, but you look in the sketchbook. It's not Cartman's book; it's this kid's book. But you look in the sketchbook, and there's just these pornographic drawings. They're just awful. It's so good. But even more so, this game, even more so than the first game, looks just like an episode of the show.
Yes.
And when we had the devs on yesterday, they were talking about they literally took the pieces that they used to make the show, the assets that they used to make the show, and put them into the game engine. So it's just an episode of South Park.
And it's so cool that you are a character in this world. Like, it's not like you play as Cartman or something like
Right,
that.
right.
Like, I
You're
thought
like,
that was
yeah,
great
you're
in the
a new
first
kid.
game. And
One of the things I really can't wait for, I know that we've had a very interesting year of comic book movies, is that they're going hard on lampooning
Yes.
those films,
And
those
I think,
characters.
I think the superhero motif works so much, well, not so much better, but I feel like it does fit South Park a little bit better
Yeah.
than the fantasy
Yes.
setting of the first game.
Totally.
And I love that they don't pull any punches to remind you that these are just kids. Like there's
Yeah.
a scene later in this B-roll where they're playing in the street, and then they all take a break for a car, a la
Yep.
Wayne's World. You know, they're all like, car, in the middle of a battle. And, then
I
the car
really
drives
love
by,
that,
and it's like, get out of the way, you stupid kids. It's
When
great.
we saw the sort of setting change and the genre change from the last game to this game, I was kind of puzzled because I was like, why would you do that? And they kind of explained in the interview yesterday that it's like, well, that's what kids do. Like one
Yeah.
day kids are playing swords, and the next day they're playing superheroes.
Yeah.
Like,
And my hope for this game is that it goes on to make a third game that is like a sci-fi space opera.
Yeah, a
like
whole other genre
I'd
shift.
love for them to take on Mass Effect in
or
the
Star
third
Wars.
game. Or, yes.
Man, that
What's
would be
Star Wars?
great. What's Star Wars?
Yeah.
Small film made by a large man with a beard in the 70s.
it's in that Watch Dogs game. You have that little droid friend.
yeah.
Right.
A couple of bears and Ewoks fight each other. It's cool. Check it out. Titanfall 2.
You heard it here first. Check
I'm
out
really
Star
excited
Wars.
Check
for
out Star
Titanfall
Wars,
2.
guys. It's a great film. They actually made at least 4 of them.
I don't think I realized how excited I was for Titanfall 2 until I was watching
Yeah.
the live show segment yesterday.
Yeah.
Man, maybe one of the best looking games of this generation.
Yeah,
Look at
seriously.
how good this looks. I love this Pandora-esque Avatar looking setting. I know that this probably just makes
that's
you
a-
so mad, Brian.
It's a trigger word for me.
Yeah, I think I'm really stoked for the single player. I liked the original Titanfall.
Yep.
This looks right up my alley. I'm very excited to play through the single player campaign. We played a little bit of the multiplayer in the beta today. It's fast and smooth.
You know what's
and
cool?
The
When-
best part about it is I get to be a giant robot and punch another robot in the face.
I love when you see a screenshot or a video of a sequel and it takes you a minute to figure out what that game is. Like, I thought this was some sort of gritty, realistic reboot of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time in first person.
No, you did not.
Yes,
I
I
don't
did. You
think you
can
did.
wall run. That's very nice. But look at this planet.
Prince of Persia, the only game to allow you to wall run. So,
Name 2 more.
Call of Duty
Prince of
Black
Per-
Ops 3.
Prince of Persia 2.
Oh, come on. All right, so single player is in this game now, which single player was, like, there was story stuff kind of peeking around the corner in the original one.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, I feel like the original Titanfall kind of fell into that roundup of games that there's lore there, that it's buried in the multiplayer, or you have to search for it if you really want to find the story.
Right.
I mean, obviously the single player campaign is something that they're pushing hard for in this one.
And I think that if you're a PlayStation gamer, which hopefully you are if you're listening to this show, your patience is paying off here, just like it did with Tomb Raider. If you wait long enough, you'll get the best version of something. And you didn't get Titanfall 1, but you're getting Titanfall 2. It's got single player. It's got all these new kills and weapons and robots.
Yeah.
There's this whole, like, best friend buddy cop system going on with your robot. I'm super into all
I think
that.
now that we're this far into this generation, we're seeing a lot more of this. It's the same kind of thing that we're talking about in Watch Dogs 2,
Yeah.
right? Like, the first one is a proof of concept. The second one is execution, right?
Yep. That's
And
the Assassin's Creed treatment.
bingo, yeah.
That's what they call it over there.
That's the official term.
It's not what they said.
Brandon Tyrell and CJ just did a bang-up job covering this game just before Gamescom started officially. Big written previews, a bunch of gameplay stuff that's on IGN. If you guys want to check out more of this, there's a ton of it there for you. Those guys are good and handsome.
Yeah,
Ooh.
they're the winners of the
good.
Coolest People at Gamescom Award. So congrats to those guys. Send them all your love.
I want to win that.
That's Beyond at Gamescom, but Gamescom's not over because there's still plenty of more. We're going to be doing live show right here on IGN all week long. And what are you guys doing? What are you checking out that you're excited about?
I'm going to see Tomb Raider VR, like I mentioned. I'm doing some cool interviews. We're talking about Battlefront later. We're doing all kinds of stuff.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I hope they make a movie based on that game.
I'm going to be checking out a lot of Kolsch.
Kolsch.
Yep.
Yeah.
German's favorite beer.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking out a lot of pork knuckles.
All right, let's not talk about that right now. Thank you so much for watching Gamescom at IGN all week long. Star Wars, pork knuckles, and Kolsch. We love you.
Beyond.
Beyond.
Beyond.